Welcome back, MTG Joe here. We're here for another installment of the weekly meta breakdown where we look at the top performing decks on the MTG Arena ladder for respective formats. This particular video is for Alchemy Best of One. We've held off on Alchemy for a bit. New Alchemy Direct Set Baldur's Gate just released. Feedback was folks wanted to see some content, so we are offering it up here. We'll see basically how the views go and feedback if we'll continue on. If you dislike Alchemy, please don't just downvote for the sake of this. I'm merely just providing data of folks that have asked. My Alchemy videos that I did for early access received like the most negative feedback, despite it being kind of a cool event that I was invited to as acknowledgement from Wizards. So kind of bummed to see that when I think like isolating the content from the content creator. But in any case, one quick note for this week's programming. Explore and Historic Best of 3. I don't have enough of a sample size to do those videos, so those will be held off till the following week when we'll have those in place. So it's predominantly Best of 1 for each format this week, as well as Standard Best of 3 that was produced. In any case, we are going to jump in. This is data provided by UntapGG, companion tool that runs alongside the Arena client, tracks your win rates, loss rates, whole bunch of cool stats. Free to use a whole bunch of it. Link is in the bio. I'll paste these deck lists as well for you into the description of the video so you can get that and Untap link to all in one handy spot. In any case, July 7th through to the 14th, Platinum to Mythic rank, 19,000 games of Magic played, and we'll jump into it. The top deck is Naya Lifegain. This is a combo Cabaretti Revels deck, so we had the Infinite Grinning Ingus combo. We've taken out the treasure package. You no longer have to click 7,000 times to be able to execute a loop. In its place, we have a Lifegain kind of synergy deck. And really the card that maybe was the one who should have been banned was Cabaretti Revels. Just gives each of your creature cards cascade effectively. And what you're trying to do is have a whole bunch of Lifegain spells. You have like a party sub-theme, but you get big Trelasarras, big Voice of the Blesses, Righteous Valkyrie to pump your team. Rebels lets you find these small things. Inquisitor Captain lets you find things. Then you got Jetmir on the top end. Gives your stuff trample if you have 6 or more creatures and just kind of go to town like that. So it's a deck that can gain like very similar to like Angels and other formats, lots of life. But now you have like card advantage, stuff like that. I played this deck a bit. The one thing to note, your captains can become dead cards because you don't have the requisite creatures in your zones. So be mindful of that when you're casting that. And it plays very poorly into Divine Purge and Farewell decks. So another thing just to keep in mind as you're kind of playing through this. But otherwise, lots of life gain, beats up on creature mirrors quite well. Next deck, we have Rakdos Sacrifice. So it's a Rakdos Anvil deck, and with no new cards from the new set. Fatal Grudge is kind of the newest iteration. It's basically just you get to force your opponent to sack something. With you sacking something, you get to draw a card. But otherwise, this is an Anvil list that also gets to play Sanguine Brushstroke. That gives you Blood Artist effects, so very similar to the Historic or Explorer or even Standard versions of the deck. There's a lot of overlaps in terms of the cards there. A lot of nickeling and diming your opponents. Notably, Meat Hook Massacre has been nerfed. It no longer gains you life off your opponent's things dying, so keep that in mind. But otherwise, if you like Aristocrat style deck, definitely check out this deck. Next deck, we have Jeskai Hinata. And this deck also got a buff, 56% win rate. And it's the card Snowborn Simulacrum. Simulacra, I don't know. Solemn Simulacrum went to the Tundra, and now he has a card. So basically, this card lets you conjure duplicates of non-token permanents into your hand. You can target lands in this case. With Hinata out, it's basically blue. X is whatever you want. If X is 5 or more, you get to put one of those into play at random, of your choice for free. So you can choose your lands. You can get a backup copy of Hinata, backup copy of Fable. This deck's like really, really nutty. I played this. I went 6-3 in an arena event with it. Very strong deck. This card is just absurd in conjunction Hinata. You have protection spells, March of Swirling Mist. Like Seek for Knowledge is a new card that gets you some card advantage. Saiba Siphoner gets you to rebuy your key cards here. And then this is similar to the standard version where Magma, Opus, and Hinata play beautifully together to kind of get you a reduced casting cost on the spell. Then we have Jeskai Reanimator, so a different flavor of Jeskai. So this is kind of similar to the Invoke Justice decks that we see in Standard, but we get some beefed up cards in this. So with Invoke, you want to throw things into your graveyard, Otherworldly Gaze, Faithful Mending, you also have Key to the Archive to do that. Invoke Justice to get back. Ideally, you want to get back Velomachus. You can take extra turns with Alrund's Epiphany in this format. You can also cast like Amiria's Call. You can also reanimate Jin-Gitaxias. Divine Purge helps as a sweeper, something that we lack in the Standard format, a 3-mana sweeper. You also have Herald of Vengeance as a card as a kind of one-sided sweeper on your opponent's side based on them dealing damage, as well as burn down the house. Then we go to Esper Dungeons. So this is kind of a mid-rangey strategy, leveraging some of the dungeon mechanics. You have Nadar. This one was at 55% win rate. The Rafine package with Diviner Fates, making your Connives once per turn, just kind of cycle for a spell. We have Clement. This is going to come up. Clement lets you, it's very poor, one of the new creatures. One of the specialized ones. Basically, its main one is all the cards in your hand perpetually get +1/1, and then it's got different specialized abilities. Specialized, for those who are unfamiliar, lets you just discard a card and kind of transform it. You also have Lizelle, which is basically, it's got ward on it. It's a 2/4 first strike, and then when they target it the first time to like kill it or something, it comes back, loses that ability. If you blink it, it gets more value there. But it's just kind of a grindy, like white black splash blue mid-range deck. Good cards like Vanishing Verse. Thalia is an interesting inclusion. You're mainly creatures, but like stuff like your Precipitous Drop and like your Planeswalker gets a little tax. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze there. Everything's live here. Everything's live. But something to just keep in mind with that. There's also this other version of Esper. This one was a Delmo list, another content creator. So it's using Teleportation Circle to bounce like Hourglass Coven, which gets you more, like it gets you 3/3/3s for 6 mana that all have like different kind of effects that kind of play into it. It gets to reset your like Lizelle, and then it's just a lot of ways to attack your opponent's hands with like Acquisition Expert and stuff like that. City Stalker to take out your opponent's cards from hands as well. Card Advantage and like the Spirited Companion, Inspired Overseer. So this is another kind of black-white value mid-range deck. The decks that I've been playing, so we did some in the early access, the Tasha Demir control deck. Tasha's been great in this format. If there's a good enough shell for that, Esper, whatever, it's a fantastic card, especially against creature decks. I've been playing Clerics. This is my list. It is featured here, just not enough people have played it. So this is close to my updated version. So we'll open it up here. So basically it's a Clerics Lifegain deck that's a little bit more mid-range focused, and it's trying to leverage black market connections for all modes, and basically using your life as a asset. So you have a bunch of ways to gain life in the deck. You pay with those life to get like treasure tokens, card advantage, so you play around sweepers, stuff like that. The tokens that you make are changelings and shapeshifters, so they count as clerics or angels, so it triggers like Righteous Valkyrie, and then it also turns on Nalia Diarnis, which lets you play clerics off the top of your library, which are all the creatures in your deck. So you get that value, and then it also, if you have a full party, you get to put 1/1 counters on at the beginning of combat, and they gain Death Touch. Your shapeshifters count as the different party members that you're missing in the deck. So it's another way. You need 2 shapeshifters with Nalia, who's a rogue, and then any cleric to kind of make it work. But otherwise, you have like Clerics of Life Bond, Voice of the Blessed to get really big in the deck. My version that's just slightly updated, I went with the Infernal Grasp in this one, it looks like. No, I went to the event, but sorry, one sec. I went with Faithful Absence over Infernal Grasp. It gave me an out because you need to be able to answer Planeswalkers. So I'm 10-5 in events with it. Yeah, I went Faithful Absence over the Infernal Grasp. So same deck. I'll paste this here if you're interested in playing. But otherwise, you got like Wandering Emperor, Elspeth on the top end, which is just really great. All the modes are relevant. Helps you dig for stuff as well as just give you like lifelink or counters or like flying to say Cleric of Life Bond, or just, you know, if you already have a big voice, like a 10/10 voice, you can give it lifelink to help swing graces, a whole bunch of stuff like that. This has been the deck I've enjoyed the most. Funny stats have a much higher on the draw win rate somehow. This is another deck I've enjoyed. So that is it for Alchemy. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more of Alchemy content or not. If you want me to just ignore it, let me know in the comments. Again, if you don't like Alchemy, that's fine. You can let me know that, but some people do enjoy it. The thing about Magic, there's a lot of formats. People could play what they enjoy. We'll leave it at that. I've enjoyed some of these decks. I've played some of these decks. Try to draw fun where fun is. In any case, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.